Assalamu alaikum. This is Brother Clifton RAHEEM Bradley of the Underground Railroad television show in Chicago. And today we have the honor of having, let me say what's behind me. These are pictures of Arnold Schwarzenegger and The Matrix. And I want to move out the way for a second so you can see it. And thing is, I have Sophia Stewart coming on to talk about The Matrix. She is from New York. That's the city she's from. And she is the owner. She is the owner of The Matrix. Yes, she is. And it is an honor to have her. I'm waiting on her to call in right now. She's a phenomenal writer. She is gifted. She is talented. And doing research on her. Because you know what? Also, for people that don't know, Sophia Stewart was born in New York. Okay, man, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. And I get the opportunity to interview her. Waiting on her to call up right now. Yeah. I'm gonna send a message. Yes. Hold on for 1 second. This is Sophia Stewart. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent.
Okay, and you know what? Let me make my introductory of you. And you know what? Sophia Stewart, she was not on last week because it was due to my negligence of, I'll share this with y'all. I'm not the greatest speller in the world. And you know what? And she has actually given me help to make me better. See, sometimes you can't take criticism, but criticism helps you to grow. Yeah. Miss Sophia, I thank you for that. Okay, but
well, it's no myth either, because myth is for single women. I often tell people that. Let me just tell them that, so they will not make those mistakes. This MISS is for a single woman who has never been married and have no children, because she's on the market looking for a husband. Y'all can call Miss Oprah that. Miss Oprah has never had any kids and never been married. But I've been married 3 times, and I'm in a 3rd marriage right now. But I do not like titles, so don't call me Mrs. and don't call me no tagline, Mother of the Matrix of Mom or Mama or whatever you reference out there. Those are not the proper titles for a creator and an owner. I'm a creator and owner of the Matrix and Terminator. And you guys need to show respect, because you don't call the late Steve Jobs the father of Apple. You don't call Bill Gates the father of Microsoft. The correct title is ownership. Creator and owner of Matrix and Terminator film franchises. Yes.
And you know,
I want to get that straight right away so people know. And then some people say, well, it's just a form of respect. No, it is not a form of respect if it's incorrect. When it's used correctly, any title is proper. Before you meet the Queen of England, you have to go through protocol before you can meet her, so you will not insult her.
Yes. And you know what? And I just want people to know I'm grateful for her tutelage in correcting me, because if she would not have corrected me, I would have went on through this process of TV production and been under the opinion that I was doing nothing wrong. But you know what? Sophia Stewart is from New York City. And we all know if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. And she is a paralegal and a prolific writer. Okay. And I would like to ask you, we're going to talk about The Matrix and
I want to say something else. I'm an attorney, an author of several books, a screenwriter, a producer, and an entrepreneur. Those are my correct occupations.
Okay.
And I've won more than several cases at court. So, yeah. But that's okay because people can read my autobiography and, it states a lot of stuff. But let's go on.
And they can buy your book. They can buy your book too. And then
my books are on every platform selling. Amazon, my website, matrixterminator.com, or truthaboutmatrix.com is also a link. Also at Walmart, Barnes and Nobles, Nook Press. You can get ebooks as well as physical books. My ebook sells for $30. My physical books at $40. There are 5-star reviews on Amazon. Read them. I have the real Matrix. It is not the fake one like y'all saw. Restitution, regurgitation, the resuscitation movie that y'all saw and lost your money on. Sorry about that. But they've been lying to you guys for years. Andy and Larry Wachowski never wrote The Matrix or Matrix. And James Cameron never wrote the Terminator. He and Gail Ann Hurd. They're nothing but fronts. They are nothing but liars and thieves. And I've been calling them this for years. For many, many years. They have no copyrights. They have no trademarks. Their names are not on any scripts in the Library of Congress. Andy or Larry Wachowski's name is not even on any receipt showing that they sold Warner Brothers anything. It's all one big fantasy and lie that they've been perpetrating on you guys, and you didn't get the fallout until you saw the movie. The real Matrix 4, the fourth one is Evolution. The first one is The Matrix. My work won 4 Oscars, and those Oscars are mine. They belong to me because the work was stolen. 2 and 3 didn't even get a nomination or nothing because they were still using my copyrighted characters, graphics, special effects, logos, and they changed the concept. That's why it was different.
You know what, Sophia? I would like to ask you, how did you originate? I mean, how did you originate these concepts? You were a child prodigy, and I want to know, what was it like to be a child prodigy, and what type of influence did your mother and father have in your life?
Well, my father was not in my life. He's still alive right now. He is a very famous person in his own right, and I will allow him his privacy.
Okay.
My mother passed away in 1999 when she discovered that I had written The Matrix and Terminator. Being a prodigy, we're polymath, means that poly means many, meaning that we're well versed in many maths. It's just like someone that's 12 years old, get their degree, and they go work for NASA, the space program, NASA. So prodigies are like Tesla. You guys are familiar with Tesla, Leonardo da Vinci, just to name a few of them. But these people are well versed in math. They can crack the codes on systems and go into your system and actually get the answers. Remote reviewing. When you look at the movie Beautiful Mind, or you look at the movie Hidden Figures, those girls were polymaths. They were prodigies. They have launched NASA science station and everything in space. So look at these movies and look at Tesla. Tesla was a black guy, by the way. So was Alexander Dumas and Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, Andrew Jackson, Hardin, Coolidge, Eisenhower, just to name a few presidents that was black presidents before Obama.
Okay.
Obama probably was the 8th black president. And George Washington was not the first president of the United States. He was the first white president because they had black ones before him. And the White House was a black house before it became a White House. They burnt that black house down. Look it up. And then they erected the one you see today, which they painted it white and called it a White House. You know, it was Black Wall Street before it white Wall Street now.
I'm
And
like,
in Oklahoma, during the bombings, the black people, when they took their properties and their things, and they put them in mass graves, and they bombed them here in America.
I would like to ask you, Sophia, you know what, as you were coming up, you were gifted and you had a great imagination. What made you decide to put it in writing form, and when did you know that you were different in terms of your creativity opposed to the norm of people?
Well, I want to tell people it's no originator. It's only original work. What I created was original work that had never ever been seen on the screen before, Matrix and Terminator. And I was writing from grade school when I was 11 years old. My first college teacher was a college professor.
Wow.
Who taught writing at the college. And my regular teacher, grade school teacher, she got sick. And so he was able to come in and teach us writing. So just like Michael Jordan or Venus and Serena playing tennis, Michael playing basketball, Jordan. Or Tiger Woods playing golf. I have been writing for a long time. So by the time I got into college, which I did not do any high school, I skipped high school, took the New York Regents, and went into college and got the degree. And then I went on to USC grad school, and of course, City University is one of my schools. It's in the World Book of Guinness. And so people need to know my achievements. Got a letter from President Carter at the time for our graduating class. My graduating class in Madison Square Garden was 2,000.
Wow.
2,000 students.
Wow, boy. You know what? You know what, Sophia? You know what I would also like to ask you? I see you wrote The Third Eye. Okay, in 1984.
It's called The Third Eye, Matrix and Terminator. And a copyrighted book and a copyrighted script is where the Matrix, the first three Matrix came out of that book. And Terminator. Is it the first three Terminators?
Is it not true that you made an attempt to publish it, and what happened? They said no, and then you found out by going to the movies that.
No. That is incorrect.
Okay.
Please do not. People, I beg you, do not go to the internet. The internet is not media. I repeat.
Okay.
It's just a lot of trolls and a lot of people out there to give you misinformation.
Okay.
So you can start mimicking like a sheep.
Okay.
It is not. You need to go to the real news archives. Go to your library, pull up the real news, and read the media from the real perspective of real professional investigators and investigative journalists. Read there, because I have a degree in journalism, a double major in law and psychology. I studied to be a lawyer and a doctor. And I used to work for television, Channel 13, with Oscar Award producer Barry Miller Adato, who won her first Oscar on a documentary called Dylan Thomas, the Artist. And I used to work also for a national magazine out of New York. With the publisher was the former New York Knicks, Dick Barnett.
Wow.
And then I went on to work for the studios, Columbia Pictures, and Vice President Dick Barris's office, and with the producer Brendan Cahill, Fantasy Island producer. So you guys need to know that I have a media background. I have a law background also, because I used to work for a Beverly Hills law firm with 50 lawyers.
Wow.
So I'm well experienced in what I do with law, with math, and I wrote a little science fiction story.
Okay.
But it was metaphysics, and it was inspired by God.
Yes.
And the Matrix and Terminator, the Third Eye, Matrix and Terminator. Matrix is a 7,000-year Latin word for the woman's womb. Okay. The third eye is the eye of God, because on earth we have two eyes. It's not talking about the pineal gland, it's talking about the eye of God, the all-seeing, all-knowing eye of God, who sees and knows everything, in a man's heart, in his actions, in his deeds.
Mm-hmm.
And Terminator anti-Revelations, because in Revelations, if you can interpret it or read it, those who are privileged to do that,
Mm-hmm.
it is saying that a second coming of a Christ child is coming, and this Matrix and Terminator is one epic story talking about the second coming of this child in science fiction form, the one, Neo. John the Revelator was the only one to call Jesus the one, N-E-O-O-N-E. Neo is an anagram for the word one.
Mm-hmm.
So John Connor's Jesus Christ grows up to be Neo, one and the same in the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
It is past, present, and future time travel.
Yes.
Where in the future, the machines will have oppressed the man, the people. Because this is what I wrote was the second coming of the Christ, the evolutions of consciousness, man versus the machines.
Yes.
God's children versus man's artificial intelligence, the AI, born in the laboratory, lab rats.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The test tube baby, the petri dish baby, the artificial inseminated babies, the clones, the drones,
Mm-hmm.
the gender benders, the gender manipulated babies. All of these are living organic amoebas, but they are seedless and soulless. God's children are three-dimensional beings.
Yes.
The astral body, which is spirit.
Mm-hmm.
The second body, which is a physical body, which is transportation. And the third body, the seed or the soul, that attaches to the physical body at the 12th weeks, meaning a doctor will not perform an abortion at the 12th week because he is killing a living soul. That's why doctors do not take lives. They've given the oath to never take a life.
Yes.
And so it's nothing but blood, water, and spirit up to the 11th month so the doctor can make your period come down.
Wow.
You're not killing anything.
Mm-hmm.
People need to know and understand what is pro-life and what is against. Why abortions and why be against abortions. You need to learn these facts that no one will tell you.
Yes.
Like I told you, Matrix is a 7,000 year Latin word for the woman's womb. Her storge, her poodle to bring babies into this earthly dimension.
Mm-hmm.
They can only come through the Matrix, the womb, God's children.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, man's children, the machines are born in the laboratory. But man cannot duplicate the seeds and the soul of God's children.
Yes.
You need to know this, people. You need to understand what's going on here. There's a lot of lab rats running around here making life miserable, killing, lying, stealing, and deceiving.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would like to ask you, you know what, Sophia, what gave you this type of insight to compile these magnificent writings and then to bring script to it? What was it?
When I was at USC,
Mm-hmm.
I met Muhammad Ali.
Oh, did you? Huh.
Yes, I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I was engaged to marry him.
Was you? Huh. Wow.
Yes. But he was way older than myself. But he's known to marry young women.
Mm-hmm.
That's nothing new under the sun. But anyway, I thought about black superheroes.
Yes.
We had no black superheroes to inspire our children to become anything they want to be, including President of the United States again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is what got, I feel, Obama into the White House.
Mm-hmm.
Because Muhammad Ali was this great living black superhero.
Mm-hmm.
Known globally around the world, he stood up for righteousness and truth.
Yes.
And so he inspired me. He is the Neo character in the Matrix.
Okay.
Now, they knew this because my work was copyrighted. The script in the book
Mm-hmm.
that all these movies were adapted from came out of my copyrighted script and copyrighted book. My copyrights are 1981, 83, and 84.
Okay.
They've told so many lies out there, it's pathetic. But you can go to the Library of Congress and look that up. My trademark, I have a trademark, The Matrix.
Oh, wow.
The people who were the thieves in Hollywood that I named earlier had no idea that Matrix was in the Bible, in the King James Bible. Google it. It's mentioned 5 times in Scripture, 3 times in Exodus, 2 times in Numbers. Exodus 34th chapter, 19th verse. God said he who opens up the Matrix will come out of the portal of a woman with God's children. The difference between a man and a woman is not the vagina and the penis. It is the womb.
Yes.
A woman can have a baby and a man will never, never, ever have a baby. So Dr. Frankenstein have told you the biggest lie in the world.
Wow.
And every man that cut off his penis, I feel sorry for you. Because you have cut off your seed to life, the continuation of life.
Yes.
And they had a story in the news where they put a transgender, transy, in women's prison, and he impregnated several women.
Wow.
He got pregnant. Showing that he was still a man, even though he was masquerading as a woman. He was still a man with a penis, and desires and sex and the testosterone did his work.
Wow.
So, and if you put a woman that's claiming she's a man in the male prison, they're going to rape her, and she's going to get pregnant. Showing that everything that man has taught you just about is a lie. The devil, the evil, and God told you that man was the beast, the evil that deceived his own kind for the love of money.
Wow. You know what, Sophia, you know what, I want to go back to something I like to, you know what, of course, there may be people that are just tuning in. Would you give your book information again, and then I can continue on with the questions?
Yes, please, everyone, get the books that started the movies, The Matrix and Terminator, where it came from, because these people had no idea. So they heard my interviews like you guys are listening. Did they get the truth? Go to Amazon.com, all you people out in the foreign countries, Amazon.com. There are 4 books, 3 of them are on Amazon. You can get the 4th book also from me, or you can get your books from me. Fans out there who want to support me directly, go to my website, matrixterminator.com, or truthaboutmatrix.com. You can Google Sophia Stewart, Google Sophia Stewart's website. My website will come out for you. You can contact me. My emails are there. My contact phone number is there. You know, if you didn't want to reach out to me, please do. But get the books and get the details, because the movie is only 1 hour and 36 minutes, no more than 2 hours and 10 minutes, and that's just a fraction out of the book. It's nothing but consciousness and knowledge coming out of these books.
So people
read the 5-star reviews on Amazon. Read the 5-star reviews. That's the real thing. Go ahead.
Man, you know what, for people that are just tuning in, you know what, I urge you to share this broadcast, and this is the owner of The Matrix and Terminator. Okay, and we're not taking calls right now. We're not taking calls. We're not doing that, but you might want to leave something in the chat room. I would like to ask you one thing. What do you think gave the Hollywood the perpetuated gall to take your intellectual property and think that you was not going to do anything about it? Why? What do you think?
They've been stealing from people for years. They've stolen from their own producers, from their own actors and actresses. They stole from the late Paul Newman. They stole from what's his name, Sylvester Stallone, the actress Tatiana Ali, and blackballed her and all of that stuff. See, they can't blackball me because I don't work for them. I work for God. So therefore, they can't do nothing with God. And if you believe God is not real, then you're really going to be in the dark here on earth. because God does exist, and I'm a living example of proof that He existed, and that He gave this message of the Matrix and Terminator. They didn't even know the word the Matrix was. We're talking about the woman's womb. They just knew it was a cool word, and they tried to copyright it, tried to trademark it. And I trademarked the Matrix, just like you do Pepsi Cola. Cola is a genetic. You can't. No one can take the word cola and copyright it and trademark it.
No.
It's a generic, but you can't copyright Pepsi Cola, Coca Cola, RC Cola. So the Matrix, but they try to take the word Matrix, which is a generic, and they found out they could not copyright or trademark, couldn't do anything with it.
And what recommendation would you give to new writers when it comes to copyright? Some would think, why take them to court, because I would be in court for years.
Well, no, you will not be in court for years. I know how to beat them. The only reason my court case that I won, the second court case, was started in 2007. It was because they had a lot of my attorneys to actually sabotage the case. That's why it was the oldest case, 7 years in Utah. And the California case didn't even last a year. They sent 4 law firms to me to get it dismissed because it was a RICO case to send them to jail. Because the government failed to protect my copyrights. The government needs to go to jail, and you guys need to know this. We pay for those copyrights and trademarks for protection. But they sit up there and let Hollywood steal and counterfeit. They counterfeited my copyrights. Come on, wake up. They've been lying on here, trolls, saying I had no copyrights. That's a lie.
Yes.
My copyrights are 81, 83, and 84, and I can show them to anybody. You can pull them up at the Library of Congress. My trademark is the Matrix.
Wow.
Under the government laws, under the penalty of perjury, if anybody enter in any perjury in a government facility, it becomes automatically inoperative and validated. So if you think you got something, like if you went to a driving license place and you put your brother's birth certificate and get a license, that license is automatic and operative and validated under the penalty of perjury because you committed fraud. You committed perjury when you signed under oath. And you were a witness to put yourself in jail. So if you get into a car accident, they're going to investigate and see that you never had a driving license. You're going to be charged with that also. And so people need to know, if you apply for any trademarks or copyrights, and which these people did and lied, they automatically become inoperative and invalidated under the penalty of perjury.
Wow.
They have perjured themselves because my copyrights to the work, and I own the copyrighted movies or derivatives derived from my copyrights. They can be traced back to my copyrights. I can win any lawsuit where they steal intellectual property or trademarks. A piece of cake.
I would like to ask you something. First, I want to thank Minister Cynthia Williams for introducing you to me. I produce a show for her. Okay, but I'd like to ask you, as we talk about the litigation, what were the repercussions for them being unethical and unmoralistic by doing something? What were the repercussions in the litigation, if you want to discuss that?
Yeah, well, I won, and people need to know that I won the attorney fees, which they tried to get over in the California case, and that was almost $500,000.
Wow.
And I won $3.5 billion in liens because I had 3 expert witnesses worth $75,000 and $25,000 each. 3 CPAs, certified public accountants, to validate that I owed $4.7 billion.
Wow.
So I liened up their properties, their businesses, their homes, their houses, and I entered those documents into the courts. And they are good as gold. I did Judge Joe Brown's show, and Judge Joe Brown validated that to about almost 100,000 people were listening on his show.
Wow.
And people need to know, because on the internet, these investigators and these lawyers are reading garbage on the internet and going back and lying. And not going into the archives of the real media, finding out the truth. I'm in many mainstream media where it is telling people I've won and that I own the copyrights to the Matrix and Terminator film franchises, because they're nothing but derivatives. Derivative means they're derived from the source. Like, I'm the mother, and I have 3 babies in the hospital, and somebody come in there and kidnap my babies and change their names or change out their clothes. They can't give them a birth certificate. Because the babies can be traced by DNA back to me. I'm the only one that can give them a birth certificate. The kidnappers can kidnap them and claim that they're theirs. And then when they get busted and caught, they're going to go to jail because they have no ownership. There's no birth records. So when I told you they had no copyrights and no trademark, and if they tried to apply for any, it's under the penalty of perjury. The government can come and prosecute them with their own forgery and lies.
You know what? Did they make an attempt to try to keep the merchandising? I'm talking about the making of toys in the image of the Matrix, the cups and the games. Did they make an attempt to try to keep?
They did counterfeit, and the FBI told me, because the FBI have been involved in this case for a year. For years, and people need to know that. They said when they come in, they're going to have to arrest these people, and they have to take everything that was created under the penalty of perjury. They have to confiscate everything, because these people were counterfeiting. The same way they did with your money. They take a $50 bill and they change it, or a $5 bill and change it to a $50 bill. That's counterfeiting. You take a Gucci and you change it, or just like Little Nas did with Nike. They took the Nike. You already knew Little Nas X. Little Nas X knew, and the company Mischief and the executives knew that Nike did not belong to them. They altered Nikes and sold 666,000 copies. And Nike, $1 billion company, came after them for the damages. Because you go to court for damages, people. You don't go to court to prove you own Nike. Nike already know they own Nike. I didn't have to go to court to prove that I own the Matrix and Terminator. Hey, my copyrights and copyrights to the derivatives. I already had that. All I had to do was go in there and take the money, which are damages. You gotta understand that damages. They're leaning up 3.5 billion. I can lean up to 4.7 billion dollars. I can keep leaning right now and taking everything they got.
Wow.
You people need to understand that liens. You can't put a lien on anybody unless they owe you money. It's a federal offense. I had 3 expert witnesses, 3 certified accountants, CPAs, to testify on the witness stand that I am owed $4.7 billion from these things. And the government is wrong. The government has discriminated against me because the government needed to arrest him, just like Lil Nas X. They need to come in and arrest him and the executives, Mischief Company and executives, because they counterfeited copyrighted and trademark work.
Yes.
They need to go to jail. And you guys are public opinion, and y'all need to push for that. Because if they go ahead and insult and steal from $1 billion company like Nike, then you guys don't have a chance in hell out there.
Wow.
They will take everything you got if you don't make them pay. Send them to jail. That needs to be your chance. They need to go to jail because they violated you.
Yes.
The moment they violate Nike or Sophia Stewart, they violated you.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. And you know what? Even they did a dastardly deed by doing that. It was unethical. Let me ask you something. The movie that was produced, do you think they did the movie justice? Is there anything that you would have changed?
People need to get off of that too.
Okay.
People need to stop lying to yourself. they can't make no movie a success. They don't know if a movie is going to be successful or it's going to fail. It depends on the writing that makes it successful, not their efforts. It is the writing. You can see with the Regurgitation movie, it was a flop, and they lost $100 million. And they got money out of bankers and investors and lied to them and told them they wrote the Matrix and Terminator when they didn't. This is committing fraud because all the Terminator movies from 4, 5, and 6 was failures because they lied to the investors.
Yes.
You cannot continue another person's creativity. Michael Jackson, the late Michael Jackson, all you can do is mimic his old work from 20 or 30 years ago. You cannot eclipse the work. Tupac, work, Prince, Whitney Houston, none of them.
Yes.
Only they, if they were alive, can eclipse their work. Only living beings can eclipse their work.
Yes.
Somebody lied, said they did their work, they're going to get showed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to get shown to be a liar. You cannot eclipse Tesla's work. Elon Musk can only do his work up to his living work. After that, he cannot go past the electrical car. He can only just do the patents that Tesla created if they can understand the patents. But there's a lot of them that Tesla created, government can't even understand. But I can because I'm a prodigy, polymath like Tesla. It's a piece of cake to understand because I'm 100 years ahead. A seer, a gifted seer, visionary, Portuguese and native, Cherokee. My grandmother was a full-blooded Cherokee, a shaman, a healer, a seer. And that's what I am, close to the earth.
So you don't mind me asking, and you might not even be privileged to say this. What is the future for Sophia Stewart and your books, movies? You don't want to discuss that.
I'm not going to discuss it. The future is more Matrix and more Terminator.
Beautiful.
That's what I'm doing, which I'm continuing.
Beautiful.
I'm going to do a Matrix 4 animation. I'm going to be doing NFTs with the real images, not no bullcrap avatar witchcraft, demon possession. That's all the word they use. James Cameron used the word, and people are mimicking my avatar. You can't steal somebody's body. That's called possession. That's called witchcraft. That's demonic possession. And you people need to learn what you're talking about and what you're saying out there.
Yes.
Avatar, you can't go steal somebody's body and go up there and destroy people. When he did Avatar, it was like the Pocahontas. Disney's Pocahontas. It's Time Spirit, a 1985 comic book called Time Spirit, Stephen J. Perry. Look it up. The blue woman with the tail, all of that came from Stephen J. Perry.
Okay.
James Cameron stole from 12 different people for Avatar. I got to man his copyrights back. And this stuff he's trying to come out with, don't buy it, it's the same garbage.
Okay.
We can't eclipse that.
No.
He cannot eclipse the work. He's a thief. He's a liar. They stole the word avatar from a game that children used to play in a movie. And he made those people change their movie from Avatar to Airbender.
Yes.
If you look at the movie Airbender, because Avatar is nothing but an ascending master that controls the elements. He controls the earth, the air, the water, and the fire. It is not a body. So stop calling your body an avatar.
Yes.
Because your body is not an avatar at all. Your body is not any ascending master that controls the elements. And when you speak about it like that, it's demon possession.
Yes.
You're talking about, because when you have a person go steal somebody's body and do something wicked, you can read about that. There was a wizard, a warlock that used to do that. An old story.
You know
what I'm saying?
You know something I would like to ask. Do you know what? Because Hollywood, do you feel that Hollywood has been more inclusive of people of color? I'm talking about directors and talent. Do you feel that they have, with Tyler Perry and all these people, do you feel that Hollywood has been more inclusive of people of color?
Of course, of people of color, because there's no such thing as no African American. The word Afro is not a color; it's a white man's name. It is not a color of anybody's skin. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so people did, and they were calling them before that Afro-American. They were talking about your hair, Afro-American.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, they started out with niggers and Negroes and colored people and colored men and Afro-American and African American. They calling you all these names to separate you from your land. You're nothing but an American. If you're born in America, you're an American. And people who are coming from all kind of foreign countries to get into America, they swear under oath that when they have taken the citizenship, that they are Americans. They no longer even use their countries they come from.
Yes.
The names of countries where you come from doesn't tell who you are. It is the blood that tells you who you are, your DNA. You tell me your blood type and I'll tell you who you are.
Yes, ma'am.
The oldest blood type is O positive during the Neanderthal period. And then it began bestiality where they started mixing with the animals, the monkeys and the swines, which are the pigs, and donkeys and all kinds of animals, snakes and pigs and goats and sheep and cows. Men have become involved in bestiality and all of those ugly things that they talk about in mythology. You had to be erased from the earth. That's what the flood was all about. People getting involved with their animals. Why do you think they spay and neuter dogs so they won't get pregnant and show up the lie of the country, the world? But people still having sex with animals.
Wow.
Yeah, because these animals can have babies, the female ones. That's under the matrix. And you're going to see the activity of man.
Yes.
So they have to sterilize a lot of these pig vows. Some people can do a pig vow because they have swine blood. They look like swine. Some look like dogs. Some look like monkeys. The elephant man.
Yes.
There are people over in the Brazil country that have sex with donkeys, and some of them rather kids rather have sex with a donkey than a living female. Bestiality, Sodom and Gomorrah, sodomizing and gonorrhea. That's what it said. It was all about bestiality. When they had to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, it was destroyed because man was all involved with having sex with kids and other people and all of this. That's called sodomites. Having sex in the wrong end of the body. And that's where God has created all these organs in our bodies to release the toxins, the waste, and the poison. He gave it to us to cry it out of our eyes. That's why we have tears. We can cry it out. Our ears to drip it out of. Our nose to blow it out of. Our mouth to spit it out of. Our vaginas and penis and the anuses to secrete it out of. You're not supposed to be going in these areas in the sweat glands to sweat it out of. To keep our temples holy and clean.
Yes.
And you're not supposed to be going up in the anus and putting bacteria and toxins and stuff back into the body after it's been secreted, or going up into the penis head. Wake up, people. Wake up. That is death.
Yes. And you know,
on 16, wait a minute, I want to tell them, 16 laws carry sodomizing is an offense of attempted murder. 16 states, the law when you rape and sodomize somebody is attempted murder, sodomizing. Look it up, people. Because that's sodomites.
Yes.
That's death.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, yes, Sophia. She ain't gonna say, "Ma'am, I don't get in trouble." But you know what, Sophia? I want something that is really interesting to me: The Matrix and Terminator. Do you feel with technology evolving that the people have become desensitized and detached from the feelings of other people because they're so busy, have their head down and depending on Google's? Do you feel that?
Well, of course. What I wrote was one epic story. Terminator and Matrix was one epic story divided into two franchises because it's a book and a script, a lot of work. But I feel that people, what I'm saying is prophesizing. What I'm saying is the future, and it can help people. Matrix and Terminator have 2 to 3 billion fans globally around the world.
Yes.
And this work has changed the lives of many, many people, and will continue. As long as I continue to give out more and more of this work, it will heal the world. It will wake them up, because having knowledge, God says, my people perish because of a lack of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference between a billionaire and a man of pauper, he's a pauper, he's poor?
Yes.
One man has knowledge, he's illuminated. This is what Illuminati's mean, that this person is illuminated with knowledge, gifted with knowledge, have knowledge that this poor man does not have.
Mm-hmm.
One become a multimillionaire and a billionaire, and the other one become a slave in poverty.
Mm-hmm.
Because of a lack of knowledge, he becomes a slave in poverty.
Mm-hmm.
And God says, know thyself, because if you don't know who you are and what you're capable of, your creativity of being a co-creator, any man will come along, lie to you, and you will mimic the lie, become a slave to him.
Mm-hmm. You know,
wake up, people,
mm-hmm.
and stop spreading lies. And your people is not about no skin color, because they're tribes. There are no races. The word race is racist.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you get it? There are no races. Those labels were created by man to separate and divide. It's called subtraction and division in math.
Yes.
Because if you divide a man, you can conquer him.
Mm-hmm.
So they were given all these labels and titles to make someone feel greater and someone to feel lesser.
Mm-hmm.
Ma'am and miss and madam and all of those. Throw that out the window. It's garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Your name is the only name heard in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
The vibration that goes up to God, your name is superior than any title.
Yes.
In fact, to use titles is to destroy who you are in heaven, the vibrations of who you are.
Yes. Yes.
Living vibrations, which are called magnetism.
Mm-hmm. And you know, go ahead. I'm sorry, Sophia. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
No, I'm teaching them. I'm waking them up.
Yes.
That titles are nothing but a caste system.
Yes.
That's all it is, a caste system. One man is superior than you, and you are under his feet. You're a slave. No man needs to be addressed like that, but every man needs to be addressed with his name. Your name is very important.
Yes. Yes.
So what is a man's name? Look at Napoleon Bonaparte. And he added an E to his last name, Bonaparte.
Mm-hmm.
And he went from a little captain to emperor of the world. And since his family carried the name Bonaparte, when the E, the vibration, they also became emperors and kings and queens and owning countries.
Yes. You know,
just said vibrations, energy, magnetism. Very, very important.
And Sophia, I would like to ask you to please, tell us where we can buy your book, where we can make donations, where we can download the app, please.
Yes, please make donations to my cause, because God's word is free. When I teach you how to live and how healthy you can be, no doctor can charge that. That's God's knowledge, and it was given you freely. But as Jesus and disciples, they received donations because people were very grateful for the laws and the knowledge of God. And that is what I'm giving. And no man can stop that except for me. I am the only one that can disobey God, because we all have free will. And man cannot take that from you. So use your free will to do something great. Go to my website, get my books. Learn the laws of God. Look at the first 3 Matrix and the first 3 Terminators. Learn the laws of God. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because the truth will set you free.
Yes. Yes.
Matrix, Terminator.com, and all the people in the foreign countries out there, go to Amazon and get those 3 books and learn the laws of God. Learn the truth. People here in America, go to my website if you want to. Truthaboutmatrix.com. My Cash App is $SOPHIAMARCEL. Again, Cash App, $, of course the Cash App is the $, capital SOPHIAMARCEL, or Go to PayPal. It's on my website. I have Zelle. Send me donations. Buy the book. Show some love out there. Because the more you give, the more you receive.
Yeah, and Sophia, something that's just gnawing at me. The question I've been holding back from it. I would like to ask you is with artificial intelligence, okay, and algorithms, and they have developed robots, anatomical robots, and they will serve us. Do you think it will come a point where that robot, that anatomical robot, will say, "Why are we serving something that we are superior to?" And develop a conscience.
The mechanical ones can never do nothing. Their body is good or malbalanced as a man who creates them. So remember this: the artificial intelligence, whether it's a drone, a clone, the physical ones that are drones or mechanical ones, their body is good as the man who created them. So if the man that created them is crazy or evil, then that's what they will be. If the man that created them is good and holy, then they're going to serve man correctly. Now, as far as those living ones that come out of the lab, like the clones and the test tube babies and the artificial inseminated babies and the gender benders and gender manipulated, that they can do harm.
Okay.
They can do harm to man, and depending on how they were created in the lab, it determines if they're going to be evil or good. Because they're living amoebas. They're one-dimensional living organism, just like the seedless and soulless watermelons that y'all eat, or the grapes that have no seeds, or the oranges no seeds, or the apple no seeds. The animals and the birds and the dogs that they will not even touch those living amoebas that y'all are eating. Because they can see the truth and they look disgusting to them and they are scared of it and they won't eat it, won't touch it. But your brain has been trained to see a seedless watermelon, a seedless grape, a seedless orange, and so that you're eating something that is not of God. I don't know what you're eating, but it's not of God, because everything that God has created in this entire world, whether it is the wind, the fire, the elements, the stars, everything, the people, the animals, the birds, the insects, the trees, the flowers, everything that God has created has a seed or a soul. But a seed of continuation, meaning that it'll come back again and again, and it doesn't need your help. It doesn't need you to create any water, because God rains the water down from all from the heavens, and land pops up from the seas and the oceans, and air is purified because the wind comes in and changes everything, and the sun, it must rise every day, and the angels must obey, because all of them are locked into a cycle of obedience except for man. And this is why the angels cried out to God, the third that fell to the earth in defiance of God, because they had the knowledge of God, they were indestructible, yet they had no free will. They had to stay at the station of authority until God summoned them to do something. And they cried out, "Why, God, why did you give these monkeys something greater than us? You gave them free will. We have to be locked into obedience, even though we have your knowledge. Even though we are indestructible, we can't die. Yet we cannot move until summoned. Yet these monkeys, because a lot of them, they were calling them monkeys because they had already been mixed with bestiality. Because God's children, when you remember, had already cleansed the earth. They were all over the whole globe, not in one section. One section 8,000 or 9,000 miles away, like the continent Africa, named after a white man, Africanus. And Africanus. The only two lands are the continent Africa and the land America. No, they're, North America, South America. It's all of Asia, all of this landmass. So no one generation from Eden when you go into the book, the Bible, the King James Bible, it's talking about Genesis. Genesis is an anagram for his genes, Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
Turn it around, it's two words, Isgenes. It's talking about genes. It's talking about cloning.
Mm-hmm.
When Eve is pulled from the ribs of Adam, that's cloning.
Mm-hmm.
That is how you clone. You take someone's DNA, put it in a syringe, insert it inside of a womb.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A black womb.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're going to clone a living being, you will take that living being's DNA, insert it into an egg with a syringe. You take the DNA, put it in a syringe, insert it into an egg, put the egg into the womb. The woman's womb, she's the surrogate. She's going to carry it, nurture it with blood.
Mm-hmm.
But the clone has only the knowledge of its existence.
Yes.
If the DNA died in 1999,
Mm-hmm.
that clone is only going to have knowledge up to 1999. It cannot go past 1999. So when that clone comes out of the womb, whatever year how old that DNA is, and what year that DNA, whether it's a living being or not, that precise year that DNA was inserted, that is the only knowledge that clone is going to have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People need to know that.
Mm-hmm. You know what, Sophia? I want to go back to that question again. You're saying that robots will never develop a self-awareness, never.
Of course not. Their self-awareness is only up. No, listen to me. Their self-awareness is only up to the point that the creator, whether it's a scientist, a doctor, or whoever created it, it only goes up to that level. It does not surpass the knowledge of man. Man is steadily going through evolution. Man is steadily evolving and growing with knowledge here. As long as you're alive, you will continue to grow. There will be no more dinosaurs because there is no female dinosaur alive that have a womb. Mm-hmm. So they're lying to you. Mm-hmm. You have to have that womb to bring anything into this physical domain called Earth. Mm-hmm. Earth is a physical experience. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you have to have a Stargate, a portal. That's what the Matrix, the womb is, a Stargate, a portal. Without that Stargate, a portal, nothing comes here. Nothing comes in here. And the lab rats that man creates, he's creating those. You guys need to go to YouTube and look at the polo horse that was cloned by the polo star. Mm-hmm. He had a star horse that won every polo match. Mm-hmm. Then his horse died. Then he went and saw a scientist or a doctor, and he cloned 100 and some horses of that star horse. He died. He took his DNA. He cloned 100 some horses. They asked him then when they were interviewing him 60 Minutes, why did he not give them names of the horses? And he told them they were clones. Mm-hmm. They don't last that long. Wow. When one horse turned to the right, all the clones turned to the right. They mimic and copy. Mm-hmm. When that same clone turned to the left, all the other ones, the copies, turned to the left. Mm-hmm. Look at it on YouTube and learn what cloning is. You can always tell a clone because a clone will mimic. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Clones will mimic. They cannot surpass knowledge. Okay. They cannot. Only a living entity that came out of a womb, a stargate, a portal. Exodus 34th chapter, 19th verse. God says, he who opens the matrix of minds, including the animals and the insects, the females, they have the womb. Mm-hmm. Because everything has to have a stargate, a portal, a womb to come into this living dimension called Earth. Yes. Yes. Let's say something to the people I don't want to, what, for me, I want to thank the people at Kennedy King College at the radio and television production classes that I took. Thank you, Mr. Abraham and Miss Dow. I want to ask you, what, before we wind down, and I hope that you will come back on the Underground Railroad television show in Chicago. And I want to ask you just to give, tell us where your information is so they can buy your book, they can make donations, they can do all of this. Tell us. Please, my information is on my website, truthaboutmatrix.com or matrixterminator.com. One word, matrixterminator.com. That's www.matrixterminator.com. Or simply Google Sophia Stewart and my website will come up. Or go to Amazon, all you people in the foreign countries, get the information and pat yourself with knowledge. Learn what's going on. Wake up so you won't become a slave. Wake up to knowledge, because a skin is nothing but a cover. Your DNA, your blood tells you who you are. There are white people with white skin. There are black people with white skin that are passing for white. They're not white. They're passing for white with white privilege. And there are people that have dark skin that are white, because when their DNA, they have children. The children come out white because it's the blood. In their skin. And God says, my people has nothing to do with a dark skin or a white skin, because the tribes, they all have different colors of skin. They had a multitude of skin. It is the act, the deed of who you are. If you're a liar, then you're not God's people. But if you are of the truth, then you are God's people. And if you're a liar, and those are your people that lie out there, those are your people. But it has nothing to do with the skin. Wake up to the truth.
You know,
simply good and bad people commingling. There are good judges, bad judges, good cops, bad cops, good people, bad people, good Illuminatis, bad Illuminatis, good people, period, commingling. There are no evil organizations. It's just simply good and bad people commingling in those organizations. So if you go for help, even if you go to the FBI, if you go to the police department, you go to judges, you're going to find the good people if you're good. And if you're bad and you want somebody to do something bad, you're going to find them too, because those are your people if you're bad. Simply understand this. When it comes to going for help, look for a good man if you're a good person. And you will find the help you need.
Yes. And you know what, Sophia? I hope that you will come back on the Underground Railroad television show in Chicago. And then I always ask my guests, maybe you did it already, there may be another specific message that you want to transmit, disseminate to the people, because I've asked you a series of questions, and there may be something that touches your heart that you want to say.
I want to say to people out there, learn the truth, because the truth will set you free. And for those who are out there to continue to do evil, you can't handle the truth, like in the movie A Few Good Men. And I'm going to tell people, like Kanye West's song, I'm not here to turn anyone, atheists, into believers. I'm not here to start any cult or tell you to follow me here or there. I simply am going to tell you what God is going to tell you. Dig for the truth. Do not be deceived. Dig for the truth. Do not listen to others, but listen to their opinions. And then you look for the truth. And don't believe me if you don't want to. That's fine. I've got no problem with it. Research and search the truth. Go to the archive, so that way no one can lie to you.
Yes.
I simply just do not want people to lie to you. Yes. Research what I'm saying. Look it up. You'll find it. Those who seek the truth shall find it. God says it. Open the door. Knock and the door shall be open. Ask and you shall be given.
Yes.
Those are the formula to success.
Okay. I'm going to try to do something with you on my television show on the other side, but we'll talk about that offline.
Yeah, and I'm coming back. I'm coming back to your show. It's been phenomenal. Thank you, Cynthia Williams, my dear, dear friend. I love you. And please, people, support the truth.
Yes. And I would like to implore that it has been indeed an honor to have you on my platform. And people that are listening to this, the links that she has mentioned to her websites will be in the description. Okay, so support her in her endeavor. Okay, and I'm asking people that look at the Underground Railroad television show and internet show to support her, because she's a strong lady. She's opinionated. I read that, And she loved the Black Panthers, and Malcolm X she was inspired. Well, Malcolm X, I heard you love Malcolm X. I love.
Oh yeah, I love Martin Luther King also. I followed him later in life, but when I was a kid growing up in New York, Malcolm X, I first learned and read his books, and I just want people to know that I stand for truth and justice and the way of God. That is most important to me, God. And I want people to know I won the court case. Don't listen to all the lies on the internet. I will give you proof that I won 2 default judgments in the Utah court case. I own the copyrights and trademarks to the Matrix and Terminator, the derivative work also. 2 judges ruled it as facts. I had to get 2 judges recused off the case, the 2 bad ones. You can read it in the legal briefs. I also had to get rid of my attorneys and fire them because they were sabotaged and working for the other side. I had to go in and win the case myself.
Wow.
God had already prepared me to win, and I won the Nevada case. It was 3 court cases, not one. The only one y'all hear about is the California case that got dismissed. They didn't win, and I didn't lose. It just got dismissed because it was a criminal case, a RICO case, to send them to jail because the government failed to protect my copyrights and failed to protect me. So I went after them myself with RICO, and I would have won it if I had not hired the 4 law firms that they said. But I got them all in Utah. I filed a lawsuit against the 4 law firms. It was a Beverly Hills, Hidden Hills. There was 2, and that was 1, but they had 2 law firms. There was a Pasadena one, and there was a New York City law firm, and a RICO, Washington State. Oh, they tried to do as quickness as they could on that case.
Okay.
And they covering the one up in Nevada because I won $55 million. And in Utah, I won $150 million judgment on one, but the judge was racist and wouldn't give me the $150 million.
Wow.
It's still pending right now. I can show you the default judgment where he says he'll give it later.
Did you take it to a higher court?
I didn't take it to a higher court because I don't pursue money. I pursue the truth of God. The money God gave me, $3.5 billion in liens on their properties, everything is good enough for me. When I cash them in, that's all the money I need. I don't want to have so much money on earth that I don't need God, and I don't want to have so less that I start stealing and shame God. And this is how people should see it. You don't want to have so much you don't need God. You don't want to have so less that you start stealing and breaking the laws of God.
I heard I heard Mike Tyson make a statement like that. I think Michael Jordan, the owner of the Charlotte Hornets, made a statement like that too. Which Mike.
Yes, because money can really ruin your whole life if you don't understand. It's nothing but a tool to use it to help others. That's what it's all about. That's why the corporations and the banks give it out so freely. And they receive so much in abundance because the more you give, the more you receive. Every time, and Jesus is saying in the New Testament, the more you give, the more you receive, because each man that giveth gives to himself. It circulates right back to him, a currency. That's why it's called money. It's called a currency because it flows in a current, like the oceans, like the water. It comes back to you. And every time a man steals, he steals from himself. The more you steal from others, the more you get. You don't get richer.
No.
You get poor by stealing. It's called math. It's called subtraction and division, dividing and conquer, and addition and multiply is what God is talking about. The next time, we're going to be talking about the Ark of the Covenant and the battery in the car because they're one and the same, and I'll explain that the next time I come on.
Okay.
Love you guys for having me.
Okay. Let me say one quick thing. If you need video productions done in Chicago, I do it. SHAYMAR Media Productions in Chicago. Just look it up. And you know what? Indeed, it's been an honor. And I say it humbly and graciously. And you know what? You in Vegas. Hey, it's beautiful. And like I said, I thank you very much for giving of your time. I know you're a very important lady. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right. Goodbye now. So you know what? You have been looking at the Underground Railroad television show in Chicago. We come on tonight, every Saturday night at 10:30. And that was Sophia Stewart. You know what? She's a remarkable, impeccable, knowledgeable lady that fought for her rights of people stealing her intellectual property. Those behind me, that's a picture of the Matrix star and the Terminator, Arthur Schwarzenegger, and I forgot the other guy's name. But you know what? She fought and she won. And then writers out there, people that have movies, be sure to get your stuff, your items copyrighted. You know, and I'm going to try to get the other guests on from Chicago. I'm going to call, see if they're available, but support Sophia Stewart. And I want to say, you know, assalamu alaikum, and you know what, and peace to everybody that is not Muslims, and to people in Canada, the United States, Central America, okay, Brazil, Africa, the UK, Europe, England, and I'm not going to forget, I'm leaving somebody out, I never forget, Alaska, because I don't know who's looking at me in Alaska, North Pole and South Pole, or South Pole and North Pole, in Australia, and people in the UK, Islam for the UK, and for the Muslims that went through Ramadan, you know, Eid Mubarak and Ramadan Kareem. So I want to thank you, and I want to thank the people that have sent donations to my PayPal account to help me embellish this beautiful studio that I have. But your prayers, keep me in your prayers so I can do better works. Thank you. And like I said, I'm going to play this again, inshallah, tonight. Yeah. I want to thank you, and special thanks to Sophia Stewart, the mother of the Matrix. She's the owner of the Matrix and the Terminator. And Minister Cynthia Williams, thank you for introducing, and David Cox, my partner. I have him back home soon. Inshallah, better say inshallah. Inshallah means of this, Allah's will. So, I'll